Let's get that on 2 Samuel 3 and verse 28 to 30.
This is 2 Samuel chapter 3, verse 28. And afterwards, when David heard it, he said, I and my kingdom are guiltless before Yahuwah forever from the blood of Abner, the son of Ner. Let it rest on the head of Joab.
Let it rest on who?
The head of Joab.
So he's pronouncing a curse on Joab. Right? Read.
Let it rest on the head of Joab and on all of his father's house.
And on who?
All of his father's house.
So since Joab just murdered somebody, he didn't do it the right way. David is announcing a curse upon Joab, not only him, but his whole house, his father's house. Read.
And let there not fail from the house of Joab one that have an issue, or that is a leper, or that leaneth on the staff.
So you're going to have an issue, you're going to be a leper, or you're going to have to use a cane or a staff to be able to walk. So this is a bad thing that he's putting on Joab. So why do you think Joab now is coercing this woman to act this way towards David? No idea? Is he doing that which is right? He's not doing that which is right. Let's go back to 2 Samuel 14. Yeah, good.
29. Or that falleth on the sword, or that lack of bread. So Joab and Abishai, his brothers, slew Abner, because he had slain their brother Asahel at Gibeon in the battle.
So they took revenge in their own hands and murdered somebody. And since they did this, David has now announced a curse on him and his house. And he says, my kingdom is guiltless of this act. We don't have nothing to do with it. Right? Keep that in mind. Go back, 2 Samuel 14. Pick it up.
2 Samuel 14 and 5. And the king said unto her, what aileth thee? And she answered, I am indeed a widow woman, and my husband is dead. And your handmaid had 2 sons, and they too strove together in the field, and there was none to part them. But the one smote the other, and slew him.
She's telling a story about 2 sons. Read.
And behold, the whole family is risen against thy handmaid. And they said, deliver him that smote his brother, that we may kill him.
That we may what?
That we may kill him.
So when a brother rises up and smites his brother, what should happen to him? He should what? Be put to death. Read.
For the life of his brother whom he slew, and we will destroy their heir also. And so they shall quench my coal which is left, and shall not leave to my husband neither name nor remainder upon the earth.
So she has 2 sons. She's saying that one of her sons slayed the other one, and if you actually uphold and keep the law, I won't have no sons. And my husband won't have anybody to live out his name. Right? Y'all see? Can y'all see this?
Yeah.
Read.
And the king said unto the woman, go to your house, and I will give charge concerning you. And the woman of Tekoa said unto the king, my master, O king, the iniquity be on me and on my father's house. And the king said, and the king and his throne be guiltless. And the king said, whosoever saith aught unto you, bring him to me, and he shall not touch thee any more.
If anybody say something to you, bring him to me, and he ain't gonna do nothing else to you. I put my word on that. That's what she is deceiving David into saying. Read.
Then said she, I pray you, let the king remember Yahuwah your Elohim, that you would not suffer the revengers of blood to destroy any more, lest they destroy my son. And he said, as Yahuwah lived, There shall not one hair of your son fall to the earth.
Not one what?
One hair of your son fall to the earth.
So David just made a proclamation basically swearing that you ain't got to worry, not one of your son's hairs is going to fall to the ground. You ain't got nothing to worry about. Read.
Then the woman said, let your handmaid, I pray you, speak one word unto my master the king.
Now, what is supposed to take place according to the law with the situation that she's bringing to him? Supposed to what? He's supposed to die. But because she's dressed up like a widow, she's old, she's got on these old clothes, and she's acting, what has she made David do? She's making David forget the law and to go against the very law that he is supposed to be upholding. Hold that. Get Deuteronomy 32:25.
Deuteronomy 32, verse 25. Let me know if you're on there. Deuteronomy 32:25. The sword without and terror within shall destroy both the young man and the virgin, and suckling also the man of gray hairs. I said, I would scatter them into corners. I will make the remembrance of them to cease from among men.
So, old and young. Psalms 94:1.
Psalms 94:1. O Yahuwah Elohim, to whom vengeance belongs.
To whom what?
To whom vengeance belongs.
To whom vengeance belongs. So if somebody murders your son and it's not on the spot, what's supposed to take place? Yah is supposed to handle it. You're not supposed to take it upon yourself to do it. Yah is the one who's supposed to have the vengeance. Read that Psalm 94:1 again.
O Yahuwah Elohim, to whom vengeance belongs. O Elohim, to whom vengeance belongs.
To who belongs?
Whom vengeance belongs.
Whom vengeance belongs. So Absalom did what? He murdered his brother, right? And Joab also murdered somebody, right? So they have that thing in common amongst them. But they took vengeance into their own hands. They took it away from Yah, and both of them feel that they are justified in their actions, right? Let's go back to 2 Samuel 14 where you left off at.
Ain't it important to point out too though, like, especially in that time, how it's a judgment in the law on how to handle that situation. Not to say that you know, because that was a vengeance situation, but just with the question that we asked, and in the time that we're reading from, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously we're not governing to be able to, so we got grace from the law, sin and death, but in that time, that was the law that reigned in.
Absolutely.
So, like, somebody murdered his son, in that time, he should have been put to death by 2 or more witnesses. Now, in the event that that couldn't have taken place, then you're right, it becomes, because you can't break the law and keep the law, so it becomes like a vengeance thing because this wasn't right, I gotta go make it right outside of what y'all said to do to make it right.
Absolutely.
I just wanted to point that out because, you know, the judgments are still in there so we can understand, like, that person should die. You know, now, obviously we understand there's other dynamics at place that's preventing it from taking place, but just dividing the difference. Because even at that time, vengeance was a thing, and it was separate from judgment.
Right, absolutely. So Both of these men took justice into their own hands to get vengeance. You're not supposed to do that. To Yah belongs vengeance. Where you at, 2 Samuel? Go ahead.
2 Samuel 14:13. And the woman said, therefore, then has you thought such a thing against the people of Elohim.
Go back. Pick it up at verse 12 again.
Verse 12. Then the woman said, let your handmaid, I pray you, speak one word unto my master the king. And he said, say on. And the woman said, wherefore then hast thou thought such a thing against the people of Elohim? For the king doth speak this thing as one which is faulty, and that the king doth not fetch home again his banished.
Is what?
Is banished.
That the king don't fetch again home his banished. Absalom was banished from the kingdom when he did what he did, right? But she wants to reconcile them together. Is reconciliation a good thing?
Yes.
Most of the time it is. But do we reconcile and break the law at the same time? Is that good?
No.
That's not good. That's not good. David is the king of Israel. What does he supposed to do?
That's right. That's what I'm saying.
He's the one that's supposed to actually execute it and put it into play. Right? Read.
Verse 15. Now therefore, that I am come to speak of this thing unto my master the king, it is because the people have made me afraid. And your handmaid said, I will now speak unto the king. It may be that the king will perform the request of his handmaid.
So she says that Yah would bring back his banished. Absalom is banished, right? And why is Absalom banished? He murdered his brother. But who is Yah's banished?
Israel.
Who is it?
Israel.
Israel is Yah's banished. Why are we banished from the kingdom? Do y'all think we should get to go back home?
Not yet.
It's not a trick.
Not yet.
Do y'all think that we as the Israelites deserve to go back home? Wow. Get
Right back out.
Isaiah 43, 5 and 6.
Isaiah 43:5. Fear not, for I am with you. I will bring your seed from the east.
I will do what?
I will bring your seed from the east
Read.
and gather you from the west. I will say to the north, give up, and to the south, speak not back.
Do what?
Keep not back.
Keep not back. So this is Yah telling us that I'm going to do what to my banished? I'm going to bring them back. I'm going to bring the people that was banished and kicked out of the kingdom. I'm going to bring you back to your original homeland. I'm going to bring you back. All right? So again, this woman come to him, and David is supposed to execute judgment, but she comes very slick. She's acting. She's old clothes. She's mourning. She got a similar story to David's own two sons. So she's playing on David's heartstrings, and she has made David forget what he is supposed to be doing. Now she hit him with the same type of thing that Nathan did when he slept with Bathsheba. She come with a story, and then it reveals that, David, you are the man that I'm talking about. What verse you at?
Verse 6.
Read.
I will say to the north, give up, and to the
Isaiah 43, 5 and 6.
I will say to the north, give up, and to the south, keep not back. Bring my sons from afar, and my daughters from the ends of the earth.
So Yah has a plan to bring back his banished. She is using Yah's thing to use this on David to manipulate him to bring in Absalom back to the kingdom. Right? Get me Leviticus chapter 20 and verse 10.
It's Leviticus 20 and verse 10. And the man which commit adultery with another man's wife, even he that commit adultery with his neighbor's wife, the adulterer and the adulteress shall surely be put to death.
They shall be what?
Shall be put to death.
They shall be put to death. When David found out that his oldest son slept with his daughter, what was David supposed to do? He was supposed to be what? Stoned and put to death. Why didn't David do anything?
It happened to him. It happened to him. So he probably like, y'all forgave me, so.
Yeah. But we're going to see it's a big difference between him and Absalom. So David is supposed to be executing judgment, but he don't do anything. Read that verse again.
And the man that commit adultery with another man's wife, even he that commit adultery with his neighbor's wife, the adulterer and the adulteress shall surely be put to death.
They shall what?
Shall surely be put to death.
They shall surely be put to death. David himself is guilty of this. Himself. Get me Genesis chapter, one moment. Genesis 9 and 6.
Genesis 9 and 6. Whoso shed a man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed.
Read it one more time.
Whoso sheds man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed.
So David is guilty of committing adultery and he's guilty of murder. He's supposed to be put to death double for what he's done. But we know that there was no witnesses that actually seen him, but he has these two guilt on him that's resting on him. So now his sons is in major trouble doing major stuff. And instead of David acting on it, he don't do anything. Deuteronomy 22:25.
Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 25. And if a man find a betrothed damsel in the field, and the man force her, and lie with her, then the man only that lay with her shall die.
Shall what?
Shall die.
He shall do what?
Shall die.
He shall die. So, when David's oldest son raped his daughter, what was David supposed to do? Kill him. He's supposed to be dead. David is supposed to execute judgment, and his son is supposed to be killed for this act that he has done. Did David do it? This is one of these things that doing the right thing is very, very hard to do. But if you don't do what Yah requires, it's going to come back and get you even worse. Keep that in mind. Y'all know exactly what he's doing.
Okay, so I can't find that scripture. I know it's in the Old Testament. I know it's in the New Testament, but it's also in the Old Testament when a person is not to have respect of other people. So could that be in that same situation with David doing this?
It's a part of it. But again, he's got the guilt of what he's already done
Right,
with
right,
Bathsheba and them
Right.
riding with him as well. It's that too though, because these is his sons. All right. Leviticus 18 and verse 9.
Leviticus chapter 18 and verse 9. The nakedness of your sister.
Of who?
Of your sister.
So his oldest son slept with who? His sister. Read.
The daughter of your father, or the daughter of your mother, whether she be born at home or born abroad, even their nakedness shall you not uncover.
So you what?
Shall you not uncover.
Jump down to verse 26.
Verse 26. You shall therefore keep my statutes and my judgments, and shall not commit any of these abominations.
Do what?
Shall not commit any of these abominations.
So he lets you know that this act is an abomination. Don't do any of these abominations. Read.
Neither any of your own nation, nor any stranger that sojourn amongst you.
So he lets you know that this is an abomination. So David is supposed to take care of this, but he don't do that which is right. Now we can tell that his heart is messed up. And because of this, he has now compromised Yah's law. He is compromised and fell into following his heart and not doing that which is right. What verse was you in the 2 Samuel 14? All right, pick it up from there. Pick it up at 15.
2 Samuel 14:15. Now therefore that I am come to speak of this thing unto the master the king, it is because the people have made me afraid. And your handmaid said, and the handmaid said, I now will speak unto the king. It may be that the king will perform the request of his handmaid. For the king will hear to deliver his handmaid out of the hand of the man that will destroy me and my son together out of the inheritance of Elohim. Then thy handmaid said, the word of my master to the king shall now be comfortable. For as an angel of Elohim, so is my master the king.
So what is she doing to David now? She's using flattery to him. Oh, you got the wisdom of an angel. But she's already made him forget Yah's law. Read.
For as an angel of Elohim, so is my master the king, to discern good and bad.
To do what?
To discern good and bad.
But he's not even discerning that she's lying to him right now. David don't even get it at the moment. And she's flattering him with these words. So, again, what should David have done? Supposed to kill them, right? So let's switch it to us modern day. Give me Deuteronomy 21, verse 18. We're going to do that which is right. Deuteronomy 21, verse 18.
Deuteronomy 21:18. If a man have a stubborn and rebellious son.
What kind of son?
Stubborn and rebellious.
So if you have a stubborn and a rebellious son, read.
Which will not obey the voice of his father or the voice of his mother, and that when he have chastised him, will not hearken unto them, then shall his father and his mother lay hold on him, and bring him out unto the elders of his city, and unto the gate of his place. And they shall say unto the elders of the city, this our son is stubborn and rebellious.
My son's so hard-headed, he won't listen to nothing we say. He won't do nothing. This boy will not mind us for nothing. He acting a fool at school. He get kicked out. He's starting fires. He's smoking. He's drinking. He's doing everything at school. He won't listen to nobody. He cussed out the old lady down the street. Right? This is the type of son that it's talking about. Read.
He will not obey our voice.
He won't do what?
He will not obey our voice.
Read.
He is a glutton.
Yeah, what?
He is a glutton.
All they do is sit up here and eat up all of the food in the house. Walk all night eating up everything. You can't put your stuff in the refrigerator this way, gonna eat it. Go ahead and do it, Alex.
All the pig feet, all the collard greens, all everything.
That's this boy. He won't listen. He won't mind. He's hard-headed, disrespectful. He do everything opposite. He terrorizes the neighborhood. Read.
And a drunkard.
And a what?
And a drunkard.
And you're a drunkard. Oh,
I think in the context of the glutton thing is going hand in hand with the drunkard thing too. Like they saying he a fiend, like this addictive personality person. Nothing's never enough. This is the type of person that's jacking people in the neighborhood and all that. Like he got it, but he's just dang, you got to get yours and all that. Like that glutton spirit goes into all of that for real. The drunkard right after it's like you think about like how crackheads steal all the time and stuff like.
yeah, see the lesson on gluttony.
Yeah.
Read.
And all the men of his city shall stone with stones.
Shall do what?
Shall stone with stones.
So, any of y'all know or seen this son that it's talking about? Or this son is in the family? So if you had this son in your house, would you bring your son to the elders and have them stone him?
It leave room for grace though. The way the law given, so that's gonna be each parent's discretion for how long that grace gonna abide with it.
I'm saying, they sick of it. They to their wits end. I can't take this boy no more. And he's doing what he's doing. And you take him to the elders. According to the law, the boy is supposed to be stoned. Now, bring it to your own house and to your own child. Would you bring yours out to the elders?
Had to be stoned to talk to.
I would, but sometimes it be the woman that, they love that baby boy, and she ain't going for it. I'm just saying.
Well, sure, we
Hey.
try to have to talk to first before we break, but we're not bringing to the elders to talk to. So
It has already shown you that they have tried everything that they can with him.
Okay, I got you.
It's interesting you say that because you know how I say honor thy father and thy mother, and it say them both instead of just saying parents, like name them both. Because let's say you get your whoopings from your father or something, so you got that fear of y'all that's instilled, but it's like at the same time, boy, you better be thankful for your mom, man, because pops might have put you under, man. if that balance of mom's there, then let that grace endure, like, you know what I'm saying?
So I want you to say if you wouldn't bring your son or your daughter to the elders to be stoned, what would you be doing? You would be what? You would be breaking it. You would be doing that which is wrong and not that which is right. So now, when you don't do that which is right, what is this son going to probably end up doing? Doing something else, and it's going to make it even worse.
Somebody innocent gonna die.
And perverting his little brother or the cousin. It's going to be worse if you don't do what Yah requires. Y'all see how it works? If you don't do that which is right, it's going to make it even worse.
So in this time of, grace from the law of sin and death, would that mean, like, you know how we look at the system, you know what I'm saying? And that's like death to us. So is that like the equivalent where it's like somebody being dead to you? Like, because that's something I always mention with like the adultery stuff and all that. It's like when they dead, they can be dead to me. So it's like that becomes a relationship with the child now. The system gotta have, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you spoke it. Again, this is what I'm trying to show. Doing that which is right is not always easy,
Okay, so.
but it need to be done.
Okay, so let's flip it then. So if we're supposed to be like Yah, then we have to be able to do how he did when he gave up his son on the cross. Right? I mean, I'm throwing a curveball at it because I'm looking at it from we supposed, according to the law, we supposed to bring our son or our daughter who is rebellious, right? But, and we know Yah wasn't rebellious, but he still died. Never mind. Because I'm looking at it. I'm trying to.
This son right here is the demon child. This is the one, not just a little bad. He terrorizes.
Right.
He's the absolute worst, and everybody know it.
Okay. I don't know. Okay.
This is Black Mike on steroids.
I don't know.
So to touch on what Bert was saying, so like this was before grace was even brought in from the New Testament and came in. So back if you still look back in the Old Testament, so I mean the right thing to do is to bring your son, he got to go. You know what I'm saying? Because it was no grace, it was nothing that on that. So like, hey, your son, he in the money, he gone, he out here.
Yeah.
No matter what you think, this was a law, and we have to live law. So I was set straight.
Right. And all of us know it, but none of us would bring our son up there to get stoned. And it would be terrible. Again, because now that same son is going to go out and wreak havoc and kill somebody innocent or do something that's going to make the situation even worse. Y'all know exactly what he's doing when he wrote the law.
That's our reality right now. It ain't even no wood. That's what it is right now.
Absolutely.
So you said we supposed to still be doing it now?
No, we can't do it right now.
That's what I was asking. Like, can we speak on like the practicality of this now? Would that be? And we agree that would be given to the sisters. Like, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Hold on, Theo.
Well, you can you.
Elder Theo, go ahead.
I over here, I think he was back in comparison to our conversation as far as the demon child being put to death, really don't want to do it. But when you look at Yah, he said, this is my righteous son, and I'm putting him to death. You know, when you make that comparison.
Absolutely.
Demon, put him to death, righteous, I'm going to put him to death for everybody else.
Right.
Boom, this comparison. So he was willing to give his son up when he didn't do anything wrong.
Absolutely. Praise Yah. Praise Yah. Super deep. He said that Yah was willing to put his righteous son to death. So in a nutshell, we should definitely be willing to put the demon child
That's what I was trying to say. But it didn't come out like it. You just said it like it.
Thank y'all for friends.
There you go.
So this person is supposed to be, but again, we wouldn't do it, and we would actually make the situation worse. It would be a little bit of satisfaction for right now, but in the end, it's gonna be worse. And we're gonna see this in a minute.
It was too heavy, man.
The stream is buffering again.
That's so much sacrifice, social responsibility, loving thy neighbor as thyself. Because it's like your child is an extension of you, that's yourself. But you thinking about the responsibility to your nation, to your people, to your community, your society, like on the Most High.
Yeah, he said, "What's the love?"
Yeah, but where is that on the?
Usually
That's really
2 seconds behind.
Yeah, it's like second one. It's still rolling.
But we still rolling.
Okay.
If you think about the greater good of the community at the expense of your own child, that's really loving your neighbor. What you said. If you're thinking about the greater good of the community at the expense of your child that's worthy of death, that's really loving your neighbor, as you said. Because it ain't no respect the persons because, oh, they closer to me kind of thing. It's like we one body for real.
So, absolutely. Go back, 2 Sam 14. Pick it up at 18 again.
Hey, cut it off.
2 Sam 14:18. Then the king answered and said unto the woman, hide not from me, I pray you, the thing that I shall ask you. And the woman said, let my master the king now speak. And the king said, is not the hand of Joab with you in all of this?
Is what?
Is not the hand of Joab with you in all of this?
So David done figured it out. Joab put you up to do this, didn't he? You didn't come up with this elaborate story all on your own. Joab put you up to this, right? Now we know that Joab was a murderer as well, and he is trying to keep his job because David has already pronounced a curse on him. Read.
And the woman answered and said, as my soul lives, my master the king, none can turn to the right hand or to the left from aught that my master the king have spoken. For your servant Joab, he bade me, and he put all these words in my mouth, in the mouth of your handmaid.
So she's spilling the beans. It's not me. Joab told me to do this. He gave me this elaborate scheme and plot to come and talk to you. He's responsible for me coming to you and lying to you with all of this stuff. Read.
To fetch about this form of speech, have your servant Joab done this thing. And my master is wise, according to the wisdom of an angel of Elohim.
Of what?
Of an angel of Elohim.
So, David being the king, what is David supposed to know?
The law.
The law. He's definitely supposed to know the law. But he promised something. He swore something, right? That not one string of hair of that boy would land on the ground. Let's get Deuteronomy 17:18.
Deuteronomy chapter 17, verse 18. And it shall be when he sitteth upon the throne of his kingdom.
Who sits on the throne of his kingdom? Talking about the king, the normal king right here. Read.
It shall be when he sitteth upon the throne of his kingdom, that he shall write him a copy of this book of the law.
He shall do what?
Shall write him a copy of this book of the law.
So all the kings of Israel were to write the law out by hand themselves. Now, if you write that out, what should you do? You should remember it because you are actually writing it yourself. So David made a vow to that woman that not one string of that boy's hair would land on the ground. So, since he made that vow, can David take it back? Sure? Let's see. Get Leviticus 5 and verse 4. So remember, he made a vow under a pretense of a lie. Right? This lady lied to him and he spoke basically too fast. Read that.
Leviticus 5 and verse 4. Or if the soul swear.
Does what?
Or if the soul swear, pronouncing with his lips to do evil or to do good.
To do evil or to do good. Read.
Whatsoever it be that a man shall pronounce with an oath, and it be hid from him, when he know of it, then he shall be guilty in one of these.
And what?
Shall be guilty in one of these.
So when if a man utters an oath or swears an oath, but then he find out that he did it under false pretenses, read that one more time.
Or if a soul swear pronouncing with his lips to do evil or to do good.
So he promised to do good to this woman under the pretense of lies. Read.
Whatsoever it be that a man shall pronounce with an oath, and it be hid from him.
It be what?
It be hid from
It
him.
was hid from him because she lied to him, made up a whole story. So he don't know the truth of the facts when he made this vow. Read.
When he know it, then he shall be made guilty in one of these.
Read.
And it shall be, when he shall be guilty in one of these things, that he shall confess that he hath sinned in that thing.
So when David figured out that Joab was behind that, what should David have done then? He should have repented, made and disannulled that vow and stopped it. But he didn't. He's supposed to know what? The law directly telling you if you make a vow hastily and you didn't know and somebody lied to you and tricked you, you can go back and reverse that thing. David don't do that. Read that next verse.
And he shall bring his trespass offering unto Yahuwah for his sin which he hath sinned, a female from the flock, a lamb or a kid of the goats, for a sin offering. And the priest shall make an atonement for him concerning his sin.
For who?
For him concerning his sin.
Read.
And if he be not able to bring the lamb, then he shall bring for his trespass what he hath committed 2 turtle doves.
Was David able to bring something? Absolutely, he's the king. So he's supposed to know this. But he don't do any of these things that's supposed to be done. So he's between a rock and a hard place. Even though he is the king, he's a father at the same time. These are his children that are in the transgression that's going on. But he don't do it. And it's actually, since he didn't take care of what he was supposed to, it made it even worse. Made everything even worse. So David's heart is messed up. He ain't in the right place at this time. Get 2 Samuel 13 and 39.
2 Samuel 13, verse 39. And the soul of King David longed to go forth unto Absalom.
It did what?
Longed to go forth unto Absalom.
So even though Absalom did what he did, David's soul is longing to go after his son and find him and actually bring him back. Read.
For he was comforted concerning Amnon.
He was what?
He was comforted concerning Amnon.
So he's comforted because Absalom has killed Amnon. David is taking comfort in this. But that's both of your sons. Why are you taking comfort in the one and not the other one? If you would have did what you were supposed to do in the first place, Absalom don't never get to do what he did. See how that works? If you don't do that which is right, it makes it even worse. Go to 2 Samuel 14 and verse 1. So his heart is going out after Absalom. Read.
2 Samuel 14:1. Now Joab the son of Zeruiah perceived that the king's heart was towards Absalom.
It was what?
Perceived that the king's heart was towards Absalom.
So since David has done all this other stuff that he did with Uriah the Hittite, took his wife, got the man murdered, got a baby by the whole nine, his heart ain't right. He messed up. He's perverting judgment. He's doing everything opposite. He basically not doing nothing. He's just letting the stuff run wild, and his kingdom is in a muck right now. It's all tore up. Everything is messed up because David ain't doing what he's supposed to be doing. Right? Now, we know that David did some great sins himself, but what's the difference between him and Absalom? He did what? He repented of what he did. Let's get 2 Samuel chapter 12, verse 13.
Samuel 12:13. And David said unto Nathan, I have sinned against Yahuwah.
I did what?
I have sinned against Yahuwah.
Read.
And Nathan said unto David, Yahuwah also have put away your sin.
Why did Yah put away his sins? Because he repented. We know that through the Psalms that David had what is called godly sorrow. This means that I did this and I ain't never gonna do nothing else to disgrace your name ever again. Absalom don't have that. He don't have none of that working with him. Right? Go back to 2 Samuel 14. Pick it up at verse 24.
2 Samuel 14:24. And the king said, let him turn to his own house, and let him not see my face.
Pick it up at 22.
22. And Joab fell to the ground on his face, and bowed himself, and thanked the king. And Joab said, today your servant know that I have found grace in your sight, my master, O king, and that the king hath fulfilled the request of his servant. So Joab arose and went to Geshur, and brought Absalom to Jerusalem. And the king said, let him turn to his own house.
Let him do what?
Let him turn to his own house.
So I'm going to bring him back, but he can't come to the kingdom. Let him go to his own house. Read.
And let him not see my face. So Absalom returned to his own house, and saw not the king's face. But in all Israel there was none to be such praise as Absalom for his beauty.
For what?
For his beauty.
For his what?
For his beauty.
For his beauty. Read.
From the sole of his foot even to the crown of his head, there was no blemish in him.
Now, why do you think that they're writing this in here to this story? What's the point of telling us how beautiful this guy was? What's this for? Nothing is in the script for nothing. But they specifically describing him and letting us know that he was the most beautiful man at this time. He had no blemish from the top of his head to the sole of his feet.
My guess is that it's to show everybody that no matter how beautiful it looks, you can still sin. Maybe. No, that's came from that.
Yeah, but it's different.
They showing us what the people notice, like how we getting to see his character and all of that. So we not gonna be in the dark, like, well, why are we, if he's this? Well, this was something that they were aware of, and obviously that was the influence on them, not the stuff that we reading about that should be the influence on them.
Right.
This is some more information about him that they were privy to, which mattered to them more than what should have.
So if you had,
It's unreasonable to us because we don't see nobody. We just reading the actual factuals, like
we just
yeah,
in the mind, we picture.
no emotion.
So
yeah.
if we got two people that was running for an office when you were at school, and one was the handsome guy on the basketball team, and the other one was the nerd, which one do everybody vote for?
Actually goes to the nerd.
So if you got Leah and Rachel, one is described as being beautiful and the other one is described as tender-eyed. Which one does the people pick? It's the same thing. Because we are deceived from the eyes. Remember the lesson, be Stevie but don't wonder. Beauty tends to cause people to go astray from what they see. You are deceived by beauty. So even though this man is beautiful on the outside, inside he's what? Rotten. Just like them coffins that Mashiach talked about. Full of dead men's bones. The guy is rotten. But he's beautiful. Therefore, the beauty blinds you from what you should actually be looking at. Read that again.
But in all Israel, there was none to be such as praised as Absalom for his beauty. From the sole of his foot even to the crown of his head, there was no blemish in him. And when he polled his head, for it was every year's end that he polled it, because the hair was heavy on him.
So that word poll means to cut. So he cut his hair once a year, and it would get to be 4 to 5 pounds worth of hair. Why are they telling us that? This is how vain this guy is. So he made a spectacle out of getting his hair cut. Hold on. Pick it up and put it on the scale and weigh it. Let's see if I can beat my record from last year. Last year was 4.3 pounds. This year is 5. I got it. He's making a spectacle out of getting his hair cut. Shows what type of person he is. Right? Super duper proud. Read.
Therefore he polled it. He weighed the hair of his head at 200 shekels after the king's weight. And unto Absalom there were born 3 sons and 1 daughter, whose name was Tamar.
Name was what?
Tamar.
Tamar. Oh, look, ain't that sweet? The sister that was raped, he named his daughter after her. See, he had some good in him. But there was a tree in the beginning that also had some good in him. See how it worked? Read.
She was a woman of fair countenance. So Absalom dwelt 2 full years in Jerusalem, and saw not the king's face.
So he'd been there for 2 full years in Jerusalem, and he still ain't got to come in David's presence yet. Read.
Therefore Absalom sent for Joab to have sent him to the king. But he would not come to him.
But he what?
But he would not come to him.
So he calls Joab. He sends him straight to voicemail. Read.
And when he sent again the second time, he would not come.
He called him again. Shot him to voicemail again. Right? Wow, he must be avoiding me. Read.
Therefore he said unto his servants, See, Joab's field is near mine.
Joab got a field near mine. I know where his car at. I know where he work at. Read.
And he has barley there.
He got what?
He has barley there.
He got barley there. He keep his cardies in the compartment right there.
Go and set it on fire.
Do what?
Go and set it on fire.
What does that sound like in today's time? Mob type of stuff. Throw a brick in there and put it in there to write the note. You better answer the phone next time I call you. Exactly. This show you this guy's character. Read.
And Absalom's servants set the field on fire. And Joab arose and came to Absalom unto his house.
So you wouldn't answer the phone when I kept calling you. Now as soon as I set your field on fire, you show up. It worked. Read.
And said unto him, Wherefore have your servants set my field on fire? And Absalom answered Joab, Behold, I sent unto you, saying, Come here, and I may send you to the king, to say, Wherefore am I come from you? Be sure. It had been good for me to have been there still. Now therefore let me see the king's face, and if there will be any iniquity in me, let him kill me.
Let him do what?
Let him kill me.
Notice what he just says. He says, if there be any iniquity in me, let him kill me. What does he mean, if there be any iniquity in me? Do he got it in him? Absolutely. But he don't even think that he's did nothing wrong. When David was found out, David directly says, I have sinned against Yah. This boy says, if there be any iniquity in me, let him kill me. There is iniquity in you. Without any question, there is. That's the difference. He don't even think he's done nothing wrong. He thinks the ends justify the means. Since you didn't do nothing, David, I took care of him. He raped my sister, so I took care of it and took it into my own hands. You're guilty. Read.
So Joab came to the king and told him, and when he had called for Absalom, he came to the king and bowed himself on his face to the ground before the king. And the king kissed Absalom.
He did what?
He kissed Absalom.
He put him to death.
Kissed Absalom.
He missed him anyway. His heart was longing for him anyway. So David doesn't do anything. He don't do justice in these cases, making things worse. Read.
And it came to verse 15, 2 Samuel 15:1. And it came to pass after this that Absalom prepared him chariots and horses and 50 men to run before him. And Absalom rose up early and stood beside the way of the gate. And it was so that when any man had a controversy, came to the king for judgment, then Absalom called unto him and said, Of what city are you? And he said, Your servant is of one of the tribes of Israel. And Absalom said unto him, See, your matters are good and right.
See your what?
Your matters are good and right.
Who's supposed to actually be doing what he's doing right now? David is. Read.
But there is no man, deputy of the king, to hear thee. Absalom said, moreover, Oh, that I were made a judge in the land.
Oh, see, if I was the king, if I was the judge, I would be giving y'all justice. I would be serving y'all right. I'd be doing that which is right and honorable to y'all. That's what he's doing. Read.
That every man which have any suit or cause might come unto me, and that I do him justice. And it was so that when any man came nigh to him to do him obeisance, he put forth his hand and took him and kissed him.
And did what?
And kissed him.
So he's doing something to the people. He's flattering the people. He's using flattery. Go ahead.
And on this manner did Absalom to all Israel that came to the king for judgment. So Absalom stole the hearts of the men of Israel.
He did what?
Stole the hearts of the men of Israel.
How does he steal the hearts of the people of Israel? Flattery. He's giving them judgments. He's doing them justice. Now, let's fast forward to a couple of years from now, whenever it takes place. What do we feel that we don't get in this country? We don't feel we get justice, right? What if a handsome man came on the scene and gave us justice for all the police brutality and gave us reparations for all of the stuff that we've been through in this country? What would you think of that man?
Great man. Most people think he's a great man.
Yeah.
He's for us.
Most people is going to think this man is for us. He is the guy. Look at what he's doing. Look at the parallel with it. Absalom, David is not doing justice with the people. Absalom comes and gives them justice. He's flattering them. He's using the politician's guidebook, which is flatter you and tell you everything you want to hear. I'm going to lower taxes. I'm going to get you 4 stimulus checks a year. $2,000 a whop. You're going to be able to get those Cardis you want. You're going to be able to get them rims on that Caprice that you want. Hey, everything that you want to hear, that's what the politician is telling you. Absalom is doing it with Israel right here. Sucking them in, and they are deceiving. He's using flattery to get it across, right? And they all falling for it because they're going to run right behind him and do everything that he's pushing forward, even to go against David. Proverbs 6:24.
Proverbs 6, verse 24. To keep you from the evil woman, from the flattery of the tongue of a strange woman.
Read that again.
To keep you from the evil woman, from the flattery of the tongue of a strange woman.
From the flattery of the tongue of a strange woman. Flattery. Proverbs 29:5.
Proverbs 29:5. A man that flatter his neighbor spread a net for his feet.
He does what?
Spreads a net for his feet.
So they say that the word flattery comes from the flat of your hands, right? So when you have a pet, what do you do with your hand? Rub it. Soothe it, or what's another word for this rub? To stroke, right? So you were stroking the ego, right? So what do they do with the lambs and stuff right before they kill them? Calm them down, make them docile. So when somebody is flattering you, think of this in your mind. This is what they're doing to you, right? They're flattering you, stroking your ego to deceive you. Don't fall for it. That's what these proverbs is talking about. If somebody's trying to do this to you, Absalom is using this technique to deceive all of these people. He's flattering them, and they are all falling for it. Pick it up in verse 7.
Verse 7. The righteous consider the cause of the poor.
My bad. Go back to 2 Samuel 15, verse 7.
2 Samuel 15:7. And it came to pass after 40 years.
Now this is the translation error. It's actually after 4 years, not 40. Read.
And it came to pass after 4 years that Absalom said unto the king, I pray you, let me go and pay my vow, which I have vowed unto Yahuwah in Hebron. For your servant vowed a vow which I abode in Ashur in Syria, saying, if Yahuwah shall bring me again indeed to Jerusalem, then I will serve Yahuwah. And the king said unto him, go in peace. So he rose and went to Hebron. And Absalom sent spies throughout all the tribes of Israel, saying, as soon as you hear the sound of the trumpet, then you shall say, Absalom reigned in Hebron.
Reigns where?
Reigned in Hebron.
Read.
And with Absalom went 200 men out of Jerusalem that were called, and they went in their simplicity, and they knew not anything.
So these are some of David's people. They don't know what he's up to at the moment. Read.
And Absalom sent for
Ahithophel.
Ahithophel.
Anybody know who Ahithophel is? He is actually David's counselor. He's in David's cabinet. But why would he be sending for somebody that works directly for David? No. Ahithophel is somebody's grandfather. He's Bathsheba's grandfather.
Oh,
So he has a relationship with Uriah. And what did David do in that situation?
yeah. Kill him.
So Ahithophel was the perfect person to go along with the plot. He's mad at David for what David has done. So he switches sides and joins in with Absalom. Now, if David had did what was right, would any of this stuff be taking place? None of it. None of this stuff would be taking place. But because he didn't do what God told him to do, everything is happening to him. Off of what he already initially did, and by him not doing what is right, it's just snowballing. Worse and worse and worse. Read.
And Absalom sent for Ahithophel, the Gileadite, David's counselor, from his city, even from Galilee, where he offered sacrifices. And the conspiracy was strong, for the people increased continually with Absalom. And there came a messenger to David, saying, the hearts of the men of Israel are after Absalom.
They what?
The hearts of the men of Israel are after Absalom.
So imagine what David is feeling. All the people have turned their back on you, and they are now following your wicked son, whom you actually were supposed to put to death, and at least left him banished to where he was at. But you brought him back. Read.
And David said unto all his servants that were with him at Jerusalem, arise and let us flee, for we shall not else escape from Absalom. Make speed to depart, lest he overtake us suddenly and bring evil upon us, and smite the city with the edge of the sword.
And do what?
And smite the city with the edge of the sword.
So smite the city with the edge of the sword. Let us flee. We got to leave Jerusalem. So David leaves Jerusalem, leaves his 10 concubines back at the house. He leaves his 10 concubines back at the house. What does Absalom do with the 10 concubines? He do what? He sleep with David's 10 wives. Where at? On the top of the roof in front of everybody.
Well, Claude, wasn't all this stuff supposed to happen when David did that to Uriah and Mosai? I mean, they told him all this stuff
make it.
gonna happen.
It's just like when you try to make something not happen, you're going to make it happen. So by him not doing what is right, he's making all of the stuff come about right now. Because he ain't doing what he was supposed to be doing. So Absalom takes these women on the roof, sleeps with all of them in the sight of Israel so everybody can know what he's doing. Jump down to verse 30.
15:30. And David went up by the ascent of Mount Olivet and wept as he went up.
He did what?
And wept as he went up.
So David has just went on top of the mount. He's weeping as he goes up. When you get on top of the mountain and you look down, what would you be looking at? You would be looking at what? At Jerusalem. So what is this a picture of, Nate?
Mashiach coming back.
This is a picture of Mashiach weeping over Jerusalem. Because this is what David is doing right now. He's looking back over the city and he's weeping. Read.
As he went up, and his head covered.
His what?
His head covered.
Read.
And he went barefoot. And all the people that was with him covered every man his head.
So all of them going up on this mountain with their heads covered, they crying. David is crying at least. Read.
And they went up weeping as they went up.
So all of them are weeping and crying. Read.
And one told David, saying, Ahithophel is among the conspirators with Absalom.
So now he knows that his counselor, which is supposed to be one of his guys, is in on the plot as well. Read.
And David said, O Yahuwah, I pray you.
This is where y'all, the old church people get to saying, oh Lord, right here. Oh Yahuwah. This is where it comes from. Read.
O Yahuwah, I pray you, turn the counsel of Ahithophel into foolishness. And it came to pass that when David was come to the top of the mountain, where he worshipped Elohim, behold.
So David is up there breaking Corinthians, praying with his head covered. Oh, something else. Read on.
And it came to pass when David was come to the top of the mountain, where he worshipped Elohim, behold, Hushai the Archite came to meet with him with his coat rent and earth upon his head. Unto whom David said, If you pass on with me, then shall be a burden unto me. Then you shall be a burden unto me. But if you return to the city and say unto Absalom, I will be your servant, O king, as I have been your father's servant hitherto, so I will now be also your servant.
So David is devising his own plans and schemes to get back at them, right? So let's just jump ahead. 2 Samuel 18, verse 9.
2 Samuel 18:9. And Absalom met the servants of David, and Absalom rode upon a mule.
He did what?
He rode upon a mule.
He's riding upon a mule. What's the most famous thing with Absalom?
Hair.
His what?
Hair.
His hair, right? Read.
And the mule went under the thick girdles of a great oak.
So Absalom is riding on a mule, going, riding, and suddenly, read.
And his head caught hold of the oak.
What happened?
And his head caught hold of the oak.
He didn't get to get it cut this time. So he's riding this mule, and suddenly he go into this tree, and the oak snatches him up. Read.
And he was taken up between the heaven and the earth.
He was proud, right? What does it mean to be proud?
Lift it up.
To be lifted up. He's lifted up right now, right? Read.
And he was taken up between the heaven and the earth, and the mule was under him, and the mule that was under him went away.
So now, what's holding him up? His hair holding him up. Read.
And a certain man saw it and told Joab, and said, Behold, I saw Absalom hanged in an oak. And Joab said unto the man that told him, And behold, thou sawest him, and why did you not smite him there to the ground?
So Joab said, you got him. Get him right now. Smite him to the ground. Read.
And I would have given you 10 shekels of silver and a girdle.
See, I got a bounty on his head. You should have took him out right then and there. Read.
And the man said unto Joab, Though I should receive 1,000 shekels of silver in my hands,
He only promised you 10. Read.
yet would I not put forth my hand against the king's son. For in our hearing the king charged thee and Abishai the Hittite, saying, Beware that none touch the young man Absalom.
So David says, don't hurt the boy. Be easy on him. That's my son. That's still my son. Don't hurt him. Read.
Otherwise I would have brought falsehood against my own life. For there is no matter hid from the king, and you yourself would have set yourself against me. And said Joab.
Now what did Absalom do to Joab? When he called him 2 times and he didn't pick up?
Burn up his field.
He burned that man's field up, right? Read.
Then said Joab, I may not tarry thus with you. And he took 3 darts in his hand.
He took what?
3 darts in his hand.
He took 3 pleas in his hand. Read.
And thrust them through the head of Absalom.
And did what?
And thrust them through the head of Absalom.
Oh my goodness. He came right back. You burned my field up. Even though David said, don't hurt him and don't kill him, dude got his revenge. He still ain't learned to take vengeance into his own hands. Read that again.
And he took 3 darts in his hand and thrust them through the heart of Absalom, while he was yet alive in the midst of the oak. And 10 young men that bare Joab's armor compassed and smote Absalom, then slew him. And Joab blew the trumpet, and the people returned from pursuing after Israel, for Joab held back the people.
So, all these twists and turns, these people is doing all types of evil. Absalom is young. He can't wait till his daddy died to become the king. I gotta kill him and do all of this stuff. This is terrible. This is our people that was doing this. This is horrible. But let's get this last verse. 2 Samuel 14, verse 11.
Second Samuel 14 and 11. Then said she, I pray you, let the king remember Yahuwah your Elohim, that thou would not suffer the revengers of blood to destroy any more.
So at this time, David is thinking this is talking about her sons. He don't know that this is really about his sons. Read.
Lest they destroy my son. And he said, as Yahuwah live, there shall not one hair of your son fall to the earth.
So where did his hair go? It didn't fall to the ground. It went up. So what David actually said came to pass. You can't make this stuff up. Just like he told him, not one hair gonna fall to the ground. It didn't. It lifted him up. And with that, this court is adjourned. Moral of the story, do that which is right. No matter how hard it is, if you don't do that which is right, it's going to make the situation even worse. Questions, comments, concerns, can't wait to be in traffic back.
The similar to David walking up the mountain weeping, where do you find that she got similar to that?
When he was weeping,
You said David weeping going up the mountain is similar to the she got weeping over Jerusalem.
the weeping over Jerusalem. Hold on one moment. Yep, that's it. Go there. Luke 19.
Luke 19, verse 41. And when he was come near, he beheld the city and wept over it.
He did what?
Beheld the city and wept over it.
So he's looking at the city, weeping over it. David is on this mountain, looking back over the city, even though they're doing it from two different perspectives, they both are weeping over Jerusalem. That's what I'm referring to. We got anything on the chat?
No.
Anything in here?
What did you say the counselor of David was canceled?
Say that again?
What did you say that the counselor of David was canceled? Who was he related?
He's related to Bathsheba. He's Bathsheba's grandfather. The one that David did the stuff with Uriah's wife, he's his grandfather. I mean, yeah, her grandfather.
I had a question, okay, because I know you said because of all the stuff David did, with not destroying his own son. what I was talking about when, David slept with, when David had Uriah killed, and when Nathan came to David, and David was talking about, kill a person that had did is wrong, and then Nathan told David that you're the man. And so when he told David all the stuff that was gonna happen, that his own son and stuff was gonna sleep, he's gonna take what all the stuff David had did, he said he's gonna take his children and put him out before Israel. They gonna, just like with Absalom, all the stuff Absalom was doing because of the sin of David. What I was saying, and dealing with today's time, with a lot of the stuff that we are doing as children of Israel, we are causing sin to come to some of our children because of things that we are doing.
Absolutely.
Are not doing.
Absolutely.
The point I was trying to make is like, all of this stuff happened back then. A lot of things, our children are seeing us not doing the right thing. It's causing our children to act out and do all kinds of madness because of stuff we are not doing as far as doing, as training them, as living according to what God has commanded us to live. That was the point I was trying to make when I was asking you about that.
Absolutely. Because if you don't do that which is right, it's coming back to get you. And no matter what it is, it's gonna come back, and it's gonna be worse if you don't do what he told you to do. So he says, spare not the rod, all that stuff. He say that stuff for a reason. So you know what's gonna happen. So if you don't embarrass them at home, they're gonna embarrass you in public. And we don't even got to face actually taking our children to the elders to be stoned. Now, if we had to do that, I already know we ain't gonna do that which is right. I'm not taking him. And then the boy gonna eventually leave the house, and he gonna wreak havoc on everybody else. Because we ain't do what we were supposed to do with him. So, nothing else? All right. We gonna pray. We gonna pray. Pray. Oh, we got announcements?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
My bad, y'all. This is not my part.
Give me a second. So, Passover, again, is going to be April 4th. We'll be meeting here at 7 o'clock to gather. We're also having a concert that evening on Pesach. A lot of artists will be coming. Feel free to contact Barmello if you like to participate in that. Unleavened Bread begins April 5th. That is a holy convocation. No working, no selling, no buying. We'll be here. And that's through the 11th. The 11th is also holy convocation. No work, no buying, no selling. Menu is coming forth soon. See Sister Car for that. We are still picking up stuff for the sister that we had that we were given for Purim. I'm trying to find that now. One second. For the one that we have for Purim, so we're still collecting pillows, blankets for a twin size bed, blankets for a queen size bed, all type of linen for a twin bed, storage totes or dressers, woman's clothes, size 2X and 3X, girls socks, girls undergarments, women's shoe size, did not say this, women's shoe size, girl clothes and shoe size, 6 clothes, 1 inch shoe, 8 in clothes, 3 inch shoes, 10 to 12 clothes, 5 size shoe. So I guess that is a woman, 10 to 12. Boys clothes and boys shoe sizes, 32 pants, shirts, 12 size shoes. Also, any food that you have, you can bring it into the building, will be collected and gathered, and then probably sometime after Passover, we'll go to take it to her. If you're buying something, if you can let me know, Sister Javon knows, we can keep a markup. I'll put it in the chat. We don't want everybody buying the same thing, so we don't have to keep going back. We can hopefully knock everything out with this one, and then check maybe in a few months to see what else is needed. If you're gonna send money to Cash App for this, to Chosen Feast, please make sure that you mark it. It's for Purim, so that we know how to distribute it correctly. I think that is it.
I got one more. Next Sunday, we need 8 to 10 volunteers to help clean the building to prep for Passover. So I can print off the sign-up sheet, but the more the merrier. We can get in and out in a couple hours, more hands on deck.
Do you have all the bottles you need?
Also, if you have any glass bottles, wine bottles, liquor bottles, anything, please bring them in. I'm using them for decoration, but I gotta start painting those ASAP.
Also, Brother Brandon, Brother B, we are doing t-shirts, Passover, t-shirts for Passover that evening. If you all want t-shirts, you need to let Brother B know, ASAP. The t-shirts are $12. Anything after the X's go up, they're $1 after that. And $12 if you want a t-shirt for Passover. You have to let them know pretty much today.
Yeah, today I think is the last day
Today,
for sure
yeah.
for that. I don't think anything else. Does anybody got anything else? I think that is it. Please make sure you clean up. We're trying to make sure that we don't have so much to do and keep, things from coming inside the building. So make sure that you clean it up after the children. Make sure stuff is off the board, because we don't want to keep revisiting this. We have to do stuff to keep stuff out of the building. So we clean up after ourselves, like you do at your house. We can make sure that it's clean. We'll have a clean, sanitary environment. I think that is it.
How do you spell beige? How do you spell the color beige?
B-E-I-G-E. You ready?
We gon' pray, we gon' pray, we gon' pray, we gon' pray. Pray out,
Pray out.
pray out, pray out. We gon' pray, we gon' pray, we gon' pray. Pray out, pray out, pray out.
All minds are clear? Father, Lord, we give you praise, honor, and esteem today. We thank you for life. We thank you for health. We thank you for strength, Father. We thank you for our right minds. We thank you for opportunity to come together as your word commands to us to gather, be together, and not forsake our assembling ourselves together. Father, we thank you for the lesson that we heard today. We ask that you allow us to fall in our hearts. We take inventory of our own selves and our lives and make corrections that are right for you, Father, that we continue to walk uprightly before you and lay aside every weight of sin that is easy to beset us, Father. We continue to pray for those who are sick, Father. Pray a special prayer for Sister Diamond, as you continue to touch her body, Father. Continue to make the rest of her pregnancy without incident, Father, to allow the delivery to be without incident, Father, to go forth easily, Father, to bring her everything right into subjection, Father, that it should be in order, Father, that we should have it, Father. As you touch her and heal her, Father, we ask you to continue to be with our brother Carl as he continues to heal, Father. All those who are sick among us, Father, we know that you're able to do exceedingly abundantly above whatever we ask or think. Father, we know there is healing in your wings, Father. We thank you and trust you, for we know you're able to do it, Father. We've seen you do it before, and we know that you can do it again, Father, for us, Father. Father, we ask that you keep us safe from hurt, harm, and danger. Father, as we enter this season of Passover, Father, we ask you continue to take inventory of ourselves and to get rid of all the leaven that we've accumulated, Father, that we continue to lay aside again every way that's in these beset us, Father, continue to just do what is right and to bring esteem to your name, Father. We ask that you bless all those who are here today, those who are absent from us, Father. We know the reasons and the circumstances. We ask you to allow us to bring us together at the appointed time. Let us love each other as you would command us to love each other, Father. Keep us safe. All these things we give thanks and praise in the name of Yahuwah, Hushan HaMashiach. So be it.
So be it.
Abinu Shabbat Shemaim, Ikadosh, Shemka, Tabo, Bakuka, Yase, Rasonka, Bares, Kashir, Nasha, Bashemaim, Teilanu, Ayom, the King, Ikanu, Usla, Lanu, Ashmatenu, Kashir, Soki, Anakdu, Lashir, Ashmu, Lanu, Wa'al, Taminu, Lede, Basa, Ki, Hasalanu, Mi, Hara, Ki, Makab, Mamlakab, Wadi Wara, Wadi Bore, Loame, Loamim, so be it. Hallelujah. And then we all Father and Hebrew, our Father prayer.